Welcome to DFS Insights. I am David Geislinger, and I'm joined by my cousin David Grant Jr. And this will be our first look at Super Bowl 58, the Kansas City Chiefs at the San Francisco 49ers.
Yes, sir. Wait, who is that? The San Francisco 49ers, baby. We have arrived.
Long road. I guess Kansas City took a little bit longer road, played one extra game, but here we are.
Felt longer, right? Felt
Yeah.
longer for the 49ers.
Yeah, that's true. It looks like they are going to get that rematch, as Kittle, I guess, put it in 2019. They'll be back, and hopefully for them, with vengeance. Kansas City did end up beating the 49ers there, but at least in my opinion, it seems like the script is exact opposite, where like both teams' offense and defenses are kind of flipped, where in my opinion, the 2019 49ers defense was hands down better than it is currently, but their offense was way more limited compared to this year, where it seems like their defense is the weaker of the points and their offense is just, star-studded, ready to go. And then, similar to what the Chiefs were, high offense, low defense back then, and now it's kind of seems the opposite. But, I think this is going to be a great matchup. Obviously, you're looking forward to it. But what do you think? 49ers only coming in. I think it's kind of odd that the reigning Super Bowl champs aren't technically the favorites. Seems kind of weird. But with 49ers being favorites, -2 or, 2-point favorite. How do you see that?
I think the only reason, to be honest, we're getting that is because we're the 1 seed. So just based on the seeding, I think is what they're basing that off of. Because let's be honest, the Kansas City Chiefs have looked, if we're judging off like the playoffs, the Chiefs have looked amazing. The regular season, the Niners were looking great. We had that little 3-game skid really, and that was it, with no Debo and no Trent Williams. On paper, the 49ers look like the better team, but on paper, so did Baltimore, and so you could argue Buffalo over Kansas City, and you saw what Kansas City, decided to show up and play football.
That's crazy. On paper, it's crazy. Like I said, we've talked about it. 49ers offense has been, crazy legit. You got, 4 or 5 all pros on offense, even 4 or 5 on defense. But it seems like, just looking at it, I don't know. Kansas City, I didn't think was, had the chance to beat the Ravens, just because, obviously listening to all the analysts, my own research, it just how they beat them. I think, me personally, I think they got a little lucky in the Buffalo game. If you gave Bass another attempt at it, I guarantee you he wouldn't miss it. But he did, so that's all it takes. The could-haves, would-haves, and should-haves, could win everybody.
And some friendly spots of the ball too, man. Those refs spotting the ball, when it's a game of inches. There were some suspect, spotting.
I don't want to go back and relive the 49ers Green Bay game spotting the ball, but
I know, right?
We'll leave that there. But just kind of looking at it here, it seems like 49ers seem to be doing well when they score points. That seems kind of like a duh, right? But the crazy stats I was looking at, they're 14-0 when they score over 24 points, and they're 0-5 when they score under 24 points. So
So good news though. So we've averaged 28.9 points per game all season, and then In the playoffs, we are averaging. Let me see here.
Probably
Playoffs,
30.
we're
Probably
averaging
30, I think.
29. Oh, 29, but our opponent is averaging 26, to where our opponent during the regular season, we were beating most opponents, by an average of 10 points. So
Yeah, well,
they were only having 17.
Kansas City has allowed the most games under 25 points at 19 out of the 20 they played.
Yeah, that's
and looking back at it in Super Bowl era, 10 teams have done that. Well, Kansas City being the 10th team. 8 of 9 currently have won the Super Bowl. The only person that lost it, Andy Reid, who's now the head coach of the Kansas City, but he was on the Eagles in
Eagles.
2001.
Okay.
So, obviously, the past is not necessarily an indicator of the future, but if that's true, Kansas City also just played the three of the 6 top offenses, 49ers being, probably one of those 6 coming up. Dolphins, Bills, Ravens, and they held them to a combined total of 41 points, which you look at it, you're like, wow. And you can say the Ravens was 10 points of that. I think I can't remember. Miami was 10 and Buffalo was probably 12 or something like that. But yeah, it's or 15 or whatever. They're the highest. The Bills were, I think, the highest that scored on them. So yeah, I don't see how it pans out.
Yeah, well, the weather. I mean, again, football, you do have to take into consideration the weather, and I mean, those teams that are on the East Coast are used to playing in that, but still, it was -13 wind chill. I think in the Baltimore game, or the Buffalo game, both those games, it was
the -13 was the Dolphins game because Tua can't play in cold weather.
That's right. That's right. I forgot because the Niners. The Niners got 3 weeks off basically, and that I think threw us off. I thought it was going to be good for us, and we definitely came in sluggish against the Packers. So,
yeah, well, that's what I'm kind of worried about too. We've seen what happened when 49ers take a week or 2 off, and now we have a bye week going into the Super Bowl. Obviously, Kansas City gets a bye too. So my biggest factor, I think, I'm taking away going into this game is your guys' defensive coordinator, Steve Wilks. Haven't, obviously I'm not haven't followed the 49ers as much as I have, say Green Bay, and you've heard my opinion. And luckily, fortunately, we got rid of Joe Barry. But anyways, Steve Wilks, what's happening? Because he gave up 100+ yards in the playoffs, first time in 50 games or something like that, rushing to Aaron Jones of Green Bay, and then didn't correct it apparently for the game against the team with all they do is run. They gave up 150 yards in the first half. I mean, kudos to him that he, kicked himself in the butt at halftime and then only allowed, I think, 40-something rushing yards in the second half. But if it takes him a half of a game to adjust to Kansas City, 49ers aren't winning this game. Kansas City has better coaching. Andy Reid, Spagnuolo, however you pronounce it, and they're not gonna make those ridiculous decisions. You got the rookie kind of mistakes and stuff from. I'm not using this as an excuse. 49ers did play well, but rookie mistakes from Green Bay. You had iffy calls, but consistent calls from Detroit in a playoff scenario, which everybody's questioning. But do you make that a regular season? Yeah. Do you make it in the playoffs? Who's the judge? Obviously, he would have looked like a mad genius if it would have panned out. So it is what it is. So will Andy Reid, do that? I don't think so. I think his coaching staff over there in Kansas City is pretty good. So I think Steve Wilks is going to need to take this week and really get a decent game plan and even have some viable off ramps and adjust it. I think that's going to
we honestly we need to shut down Travis Kelce and make a rookie, Rashee Rice, beat us. Him and
Yeah.
Pacheco need to be what beats us, and not Travis Kelce, because it's dude, it's Kelce literally went 11 for 11 against Baltimore's defense,
Which,
116 yards and a touchdown.
which is
And
crazy because they have like the perfect person to mimic
just,
Kelsey in practice. Andrews and
yeah,
Likely, like
it's
yeah,
I mean 11 for I mean did you those catches the catches he made two catches that were just incredible. And then in the Buffalo game he went 5 of 6, 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, and then 10 targets, 7 catches, 71 yards in a game against Miami. We need to shut Travis Kelce down. I was watching tape today. The Raiders beat Kansas City twice this season after not beating them in like 5 seasons, possibly more than that. And they had the answer for Kelce, and it shut him
yeah.
down pretty well. I mean,
But into to Kelsey's, I guess backup or whatever, he played like crap all regular season, but he's come out
yeah,
and played like young, young, eager Kelsey in the playoffs. I mean, it's literally been night and day difference.
he definitely turned on a new gear for sure. And he is one of those dudes where it's kind of like, to me, like a Christian McCaffrey. Like, he's gonna get his, to me.
Mhm.
I mean, it's like he's Travis Kelce. He's gonna make some incredible catches no matter what we do. But there is ways for us to slow him down, and I'd really rather make some of these other guys beat us than him. So that's going to be it's going to sound crazy. The coin toss, I think if we win it, we should elect to receive. We won the last one and deferred, and both games the teams marched down the field. You guys scored a touchdown, and the Detroit scored a field goal.
No, other way around.
The other way
Green Bay
around.
Scored
Okay, you guys, you guys should have had a touchdown.
Yeah.
We had that nice play knockdown on the third down. Yeah, you guys got the field goal. So like, that cannot happen in the Super Bowl. There's just no way. On the first that first drive that Kansas City gets, that we have to stop that, or we're going to be in for a long game. I mean,
yeah.
the
the
only thing
go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, like, all season, it's like we always got, at the games we won, which was most of them, we'd get out to the early lead and basically keep it. The other team would kind of make their little small effort and run, and then we would just put the nail in the coffin. If anything, the playoffs have been what everyone wanted to see from the Niners. Can they win when they're losing? Can Purdy win when it comes down to the final drive? We've been doing the things that we have been questioning about and answering those questions. But the funny thing is, it still makes me feel more uneasy seeing that. And it almost gives me more questions than the answers that I was actually looking for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think McCaffrey's, set up to be a big game. And the 49ers like use and abuse him, and as they should. He should be the MVP.
I agree.
Even win or lose, he should be the freaking MVP.
Yeah.
But yeah, another big factor for me too is Kansas City just lost one of their top edge rushers last game, tore his ACL. He's out. Charles Awana. I'm gonna butcher this. Amanahu, dude was the third on the team in sacks, 7 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 5 assists. So that's gonna be huge. Hopefully the guy, whoever's filling that dude's shoes, his spotlight's on you, buddy.
I know, right?
You got Christian McCaffrey to, hopefully you need to set that edge and get the Purdy as often as you can. Yeah, good
Yeah,
luck
yeah.
for sure. But
I know, right? Yeah. I mean, so the 49ers, we're missing Ufunga, who is, I
yeah,
sent, I texted you earlier, dude. He's a top 100 player in the NFL. I mean, and we lost him against Tampa Bay. Was like our eighth, halfway through the season, and that halfway point is when teams did start to be able to rush on us a little bit more than usual, because that dude, I mean, he was just one of our, he's not Fred Warner, but he's like Fred Warner Jr. basically. I mean, this dude's a beast. And that was a nice 1-2 punch that we had, and he tore his ACL and is going to be out. So,
yeah.
at least we've had time to adjust. Half the season, but nonetheless, we are missing him, and that to me is why our defense has declined since that the first half of the season. So
Yeah, that and it just, I mean, I think Bosa did end up getting 1 or 2 sacks against Goff, but
finally,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Finally, it didn't seem like it seemed like Green Bay's offensive line and Detroit's offensive line held back. Your guys' pass rush pretty good, and I think Kansas City even has probably a better offensive line, and Mahomes scramble machine. Dude makes backwards throws and all this other
left-handed
stuff.
throws,
yeah.
and
So yeah, you guys need to get to him. Bosa needs to do what he does, and Chase Young needs to show up. I haven't really heard too much of him in the playoffs, so he needs to contribute probably a little bit more, at least to where hey, Chase Young's on the field kind of thing. Because it's just Bosa, Ward, and Warner is really kind of all you hear, because they're freaking everywhere. Especially Fred Warner, dude's crazy. But yeah, no, that's kind of just a pretty decent general overview. Would you like to maybe look at the salaries of the players and kind of just give our first, we're not going to break down all the players. We'll do that. We'll give us the 3 key players like we typically do closer to game time. But if we just want to kind of look at the salaries and see, give our general opinion on that, you want to do that?
Yeah, that sounds good. And again, this is obviously a single game since there's only one game.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. Obviously, we're talking Fanduel, just so everybody also knows. This is Fanduel only. And yeah, so it's looking like we got Mr. Christian McCaffrey at 17.5.
I need him at like 10K.
I know. Yeah. I mean, that'd be a free square.
No, I know. I know. It hurts. It hurts me. Because I know I have to play him because he is a fantasy machine. But that 17.5 it hurts. It hurts.
It'll be especially because if you're game scripting the Niner win.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, especially when you have teams like this. I mean, fortunate enough, Kansas City really has, three skill players that you really got to worry about, and not including Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes obviously would be the 4th, but you got the 49ers that have 5 skill players, and every single one of them, all these players that are viable are 10K plus, and so that just makes very hard to have that solid lineup. So obviously, just like every tournament, large tournament, this one is for $1 million. But being at $1 million, there's 291,000 people. 291,000 entries. So you got to kind of, I think, if you're to win it solo, you need to find that dude. Someone gets hurt, then pops up, and I don't know.
Yeah. I think the main key point here is that the person with the most raw fantasy points has to be in the MVP if you're going to win. So, let's just be real. Playoffs, he's had 2 touchdowns in each game against Green Bay and against Detroit.
Yeah, he's been optimal both in optimal in both, and both optimal MVP in both games. Christian McCaffrey. Yeah. So I see. I mean, to me, realistically, I see probably 5 potential
for MVP.
5 potential MVPs. Obviously, I'm gonna lean towards like these top 5: Pacheco, Kelsey, Purdy, Mahomes, McCaffrey, and I'm gonna have kind of like a mix of lineups. I'm gonna have quite a few lineups. Game scripting wise, you'll have my basic. Hey, 49ers win, Kansas City wins, and then break those down into like, hey, pass attack, rushing, defense, whatever kind of scenarios there. But those. I think. I mean, I missed, like we mentioned. We were talking earlier. I missed Kelsey being at 10, 11K. His salary finally caught up to his playoff performance, unfortunately. So.
Hey, to be honest though, George Kittle at 10,000 is an absolute steal. I could see him being a dark horse MVP, and I mean, just to give you an example, I mean, he hadn't done a whole lot, and against the Dallas Cowboys, he only had 4 targets, he had 3 catches, he had 3 touchdowns. I mean, that is, again, I'm just saying it could be that would be as low as I would go. Don't sleep on him. Again, I'm talking if you're making 10 lineups, put him in 1 at MVP, obviously.
I don't know. I'm gonna check on this. I know they get an extra week. He has a toe issue. I'm kind of curious to see what that is.
Hey, and let's not sleep on Harrison Butker. This dude had against Cincinnati 6 for 6 and 24 fantasy points, and we all know he can kick, a 63, 65 yarder. And the Chiefs, they like to kick the ball. They're not afraid. They get up in there, and they're not like the Lions that just 4th and 3, we're going for it. 4th and 2, we're going for it. It's hey, we're in field goal range. Cool. They roll him out there, and they know he's going to make it. I think he only missed 2 field goals all year.
Yeah, he's 100% extra points and 33 of 35 field goals.
Yeah. So I mean.
So yeah, that's crazy. Like you said, we were talking McCaffrey. Not really too much, to talk about. Everybody knows he's going to do what he got to do. Purdy, literally, like a third of his targets, his passing targets, goes to McCaffrey. All the rushing, I believe, he got so tired on like a 40-yard run. Mitchell came in and snaked his touchdown, which threw off everybody's freaking game.
I know,
against Detroit.
That moved the needle for sure.
But I see. I like Pacheco at 12.5, especially going against the defense of the 49ers. Unless I see something. I mean, I'm assuming Wilkes is going to have a game plan for him. At least he freaking should.
I know, right?
So, if Pacheco can do anything like, Jones, Montgomery, Gibbs, or whatever, he's going to be a viable. And 12.5 is not too bad. There, Kelsey, like we mentioned before, he's going to get his. I mean, Samuel, Ayuk, Kittle, all of those 1,000+ yard receivers in the regular season. The only issue I have with them is that they're all of them. And you have Christian McCaffrey, so it's like, who's going to get it? So like, do you go? Obviously, if you go Purdy, who are you going to team him up with? Because it's kind of just a crapshoot. There really doesn't necessarily seem, to be too much favoritism. I know Kittle unfortunately, he gets stuck a lot on that right side of the line because that's their weakest part of their line is that right side, because obviously you got All-Pro Trent Williams on the left side, so Kittle does a lot of blocking and then he comes off that block, and that's typically how he gets his passes. But Deebo Samuel, like, who's he going to go to? So that's like the hardest point. I mean, obviously that's great for 49ers. That's terrible as a DFS player because it's a crapshoot, and that just means either like I do a crapshoot or I do multiple lineups to account for that, which is probably the more likely of the scenarios that I'll end up doing. So yeah, I mean, I like him. Kittle, I don't know. He's too like wavy. I mean, he did have a stretch here at 4, but like, I mean, if you just go back to what is that, the Seattle game, 15-6, 16-4, 16-4, and it's like, so I mean, if you follow that pattern, technically he's looking at a 16-point game.
No, hey, so those type of patterns, believe it or not, I've gone off of those, and it's weird how things align. And hey, he's a vet, dude. Like he said, he said, I'm gonna be back here and I am going to win. I can see him, voicing a little bit louder. I could see him getting a couple, more like a 5, 6, 7 targets rather than a 3, 4. I could see it being a little bit higher, and I could also see those being either red zone or some nice yardage, obviously across the middle. Yes. But I mean,
yeah, I like Buckner in this. Like we mentioned, his kicking is crazy good. Moody, I like him mainly because I don't know, I'm half tempted to script kind of a low scoring game on this one.
I know, I feel you. Yeah.
So I mean, because like I said, I think if Kansas City is going to win, they obviously need to get 49ers to score less than 24 points, right?
Yeah.
With that, I also, Kansas City Chiefs defense has kind of been, their bread and, their backbone helped them out, carry them up until where they're at. In the regular season, they were second defense, only allowing about 289 total yards per game. And like we mentioned earlier, the combination between the Dolphins, the Bills, and the Ravens, they only gave up 41 points, which is, pretty noteworthy, thinking that they're, the offense is run by, the MVP, which, Lamar, I don't know. Yeah, I guess he's the MVP of the regular season, and take that trophy home.
I know, right? I mean, yes, dude. Since the playoffs, they definitely have been a different team. Because I mean, dude, if you scroll down, like I said, they lost twice to the Raiders. Green Bay put 27 on them. Detroit put 15 on them to open the season.
But I mean, look at that. I mean, in all their games, multiple sacks. I mean, obviously Buffalo, they didn't get them, but like 4 sacks, 2, 3, 6, 2, 4,
6. Yeah.
So they're getting there. Looks like turnovers are pretty decent too. Interceptions, forced fumbles. So I mean, not bad. They're averaging almost 8 points, so that's not bad as an option. Purdy does get flustered a little bit easier if they are getting home, that pressure home. So he does have the likelihood to throw those bad passes. So that could be a potential. I haven't seen him, I guess, lose too many fumbles. With his quote unquote small hands, or whatever people are saying, ridiculous. But yeah, so Purdy does have the potential to get interceptions, but that, like I said, that depends now with one of their leading edge rushers, Charles Omenihu, out. Can they get that pressure on Purdy where he's forced to make those bad passes? If you give Purdy time, he's gonna chop you up.
Yep.
I mean, we've seen it. It's hard. You can't really say he doesn't do it because he literally has done it all season.
I mean, hey, for the season, he is 69.4% completion. He's averaging 9.6 yards a throw. He's averaging 267 yards a game. He has a long of 76 yards, 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He has been sacked 28 times, but dude, he has a passer rating for the entire season of 113.
Nice.
So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. That's. I mean,
go ahead.
No, I'd say that's that's pretty good.
And I mean, yeah, if we take a look, if I were to look at, I mean, again, Mahomes did not have, Mahomes still had 4,183 yards with, really no one to throw to. Let's see, he had.
Dude, they had like 50 something drops, or I think it was some crazy number like that throughout the season.
Well, man, he actually attempted so he has 597 attempts, and he still is at 67.2 completion, even with his receivers dropping. 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, sacked 27 times, and then his passer rating for the season is 92.6, which, I mean, to be honest, with what he had to work with is damn near impressive.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. Now, moving on to your guys' defense, which I think the reason, if you guys do lose it, this will be the reason. 31 points against Detroit, 21 points against Green Bay. Only 2 sacks, 0 sacks against Green Bay. He did have the 2 interceptions, but giving up 100 plus yards to Green Bay rushing, about 200 yards total rushing against the Lions. Like I said, it was 150 in the first half, and they did correct it in the second half. But something needs to be done, I think, there, or I think Patrick Mahomes is going to cut you guys up. I don't see. I mean, I know your guys' secondary is okay. The safety position is your weak point. So those long balls to, Rashid Rice. I think you guys' middle of the field's good. I think you guys' linebackers are legit. So Kelsey's going to have to do his crazy route running. This is that unorthodox kind of route running to get his yards. If he's in the middle of the field, I'm assuming Fred Warner and I forgot.
Warner's got to be shadowing Kelsey all the time for sure. Yeah, that's.
So I think, but at the same time, your guys' defensive line too has been, like they go to church every Sunday, pretty holy. So they got to do something. So I'm looking forward, to obviously seeing those corrections take place, and then how Kansas City's going to overcome that. Getting down here to these value options, I always been looking at kind of, I don't know, I don't like the 49ers, the RB2 and 3. I mean, Mitchell did get that touchdown, but that was literally, I think, a fluke that Christian McCaffrey tripped and fell on the one. He was so tired that he had to go out. Other than that was the first carry by another running back in the playoffs for the 49ers.
Oh, what? Because Juszczyk usually gets targets.
Juszczyk is okay. If you consider Juszczyk, that he does get a little bit of action, but I'm talking about running back. He's technically a fullback.
For sure.
Yeah.
And like you said, trying to pick out a guy who is playable, down, scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like I went Noah Gray last game, just because at 5,500, I just thought he is the other tight end when Kelsey needs a breather from all the targets he's getting. Again, he only went 2 for 5. He didn't do much, but at the 5,500, you need a guy who has a couple targets, and might he be the guy that gets into the end zone? He is one of the few guys you could say that are at 5,500 or below, under 6,000 that could actually get a touchdown.
Well, I think
or
him, Gray, or Juszczyk sitting at 55 as well.
For sure.
So I mean, he got one rush against Detroit, but he had 3 targets, 2 catches for 33 yards. So he did get decent there. But yeah, other than that, we're obviously going to dive in more during key players and see if any of these ones are viable. But I think we kind of covered for the most part the bulk of just generally covering all the players, generally covering the game. Anything else you want to add before giving these guys an extra free bonus lineup? Mind you, this is the first look lineup, but these I think are I don't think too much will change from here until game time, with the exception of obviously the more research we do, the more refined lineup that we can do.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll try to make sure to give you a Christian McCaffrey lineup, and then I'd like to call it a non-Christian McCaffrey lineup, just because he's going to be the chalkiest player, no doubt about it, and for good reason. And on the chance that the Chiefs have a great game plan and something happens, you'll really set yourself apart by making a lineup without him in it. So I'm just stoked. 49ers are my team. I'm going to be doing a lot of lineups, at least for me. I hand build all mine. I'll probably be doing 40 or 50 of them. And I'm probably going to go, as of right now, 60% McCaffrey, which is probably what, the field will probably be 60 to 75% MVP, I'd imagine. Just because I think if we're going to win, and I want us to win, and that's what's going on. But yeah, man, we're giving you a bonus lineup. Make sure to check the podcast right before the Super Bowl. That's where we're really going to do a little deep dive, get into some stats, and hey, let's go 49ers, man. This is the redemption I want. I've been wanting this rematch. I want our championship to be through Patrick Mahomes. And man, if Brock Purdy can beat Patrick Mahomes, it'll just, well, nothing is ever going to shut those haters up. So
yeah, I'm saying
it's all good.
It'll be another excuse.
They'll come up with they'll move the goalpost and make some new reason as to why he can't be successful.
I mean,
and it's not.
I don't really. I mean, whether they do with whatever they do, I don't really personally care. But it's going to come down to it. I mean, 49ers are going to let us know. Like, they give Brock Purdy basically one more year, cheap salary, and then they're going to pay the guy. So, do they pay him knowing that they're not going to be able to afford Kittle, Ayuk, Deebo Samuels, Bosa, Trent Williams? I mean, the list goes on. Christian McCaffrey, Chase Young. Yeah. So
McCaffrey has to be McCaffrey's number one.
Yeah. Are they going to give him that contract when those players leave? So, that's until that time comes. To me, he's a really good freaking quarterback. Well, at least
I know, right?
From just looking at stats. So,
no other Super Bowl is guaranteed. We're here again. We've been in the divisional, for the last 5 years. We did go to a Super Bowl. The last one was against the Chiefs. We were winning it all the way into the fourth quarter until Jimmy G blew it. And man, it would just be amazing to run this back and get this win. So, yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, here's now what everybody's been waiting for. Here are those lineups. Just please let us know what you think. And also, please, obviously in the comments below, let us know what you think. And also what you think, or what you would like to see in the next video that we do, talking about key players. And we'll also go over a little bit more detail, the general game overview and things like that. So, yeah, leave those comments in below, and even like players that you want us to see, touch on and stuff. Make sure also to like and subscribe to this video. That way it gets put out to more people. And with that, hope this helps you, and hope to see you on that leaderboard with us.
Yes, sir. Make that money, and let's go 49ers.